Hi guys! Sorry, I just found a rain stick and I was pretty excited. This is Lenora again, and I thought I would do a video on pros and cons of having partial dreadlocks. I've had my dreadlocks for about 2 years and 9 months. I got them in June of 2015, and when I got them, there really wasn't anything on YouTube about having partial dreadlocks. I was um, schooled in the YouTube Academy. Basically everything I learned about dreads I found out off of YouTube, but there wasn't anybody that had partial dreads, which is what I wanted to get. Since then, there have been a few people that have come out with videos on partial dreadlocks, but I wanted to kind of add to that number and also add um, someone with that amount of time. You know, I've almost had my dreadlocks for 3 years, so I've been through a lot of the different stages, and I know that I had a lot of questions and things. I just kind of went for it, but it would have been nice to have answers. So this video, I'm just going to do pros and cons of partial dreadlocks. Uh, Dive right into it. So one of the pros is that the whole baby stage is a lot easier to hide when you have hair that can go over it. So if you don't know what that is, basically when your dreadlocks are new, they're going to look pretty gnarly for probably at least 6 months to a year. So being able to hide that under my hair was really nice. It's nicer for the people around you not to be as worried about, oh my goodness, your hair is terrible, where you can just hide it and then, oh voila, look, I have dreadlocks. So that is really nice. Also, a con of that is that I had a lot of people think that I didn't brush my hair because the underlayer was like all weird and knotted. My grandma once was like, just let me brush your hair, and I was like, you have no idea how much pain I would be in if you tried to brush my hair. Like, no, these are dreadlocks. Just for clarification, I put my dreadlocks in with the twist and rip method, so it wasn't like they were free-forming or anything. They were definitely dreadlocks that were structured and sectioned, but just when you start out, it's a very frizzy mess. Let's see, another pro, I think, is that I can still run my fingers through my hair. I really would miss that if I couldn't do that. And also, with having some of my regular hair, I feel like I can still be elegant and graceful, or whatever word you want to use. You can do that with dreads. I'm not going to say that people can't, but I just feel sometimes more feminine with my regular hair. But another con that kind of comes along with having dreadlocks and normal hair is that my hair washing routine is a little bit longer. It's not like, oh, I'm just washing my dreadlocks, or oh, I'm just washing regular hair. I have different things that I go through for each of those, and I could do a video on what products I use and how that goes if people are interested. But that's just the pros and cons for now. Another pro is that the snarly part of my hair is dreaded now. So I used to always have to brush this underlayer of my hair so much all the time, and it would get snarly and matted, and it was annoying, and it took a lot of time. But there is kind of an issue now with keeping them separate. That is less of an issue now than when I started. When I first started, some of my normal hair would kind of get interlocked with my dreadlocks, so I'd have to go through and just kind of feel around the root and pull them apart. If you do it regularly, it's not painful. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like the whole popping pimples is a really satisfying thing for me, but it is another kind of thing. Oh, I have to think about what my hair is doing. Dreadlocks are low maintenance, especially once they're established, but there is definitely a period of time when you have to put in effort if you want to get nice dreads. So that's one of those things where I have to think about my hair a little bit, and even though the snarliness isn't an issue, that is something that I had to keep in mind. Another thing that I like about having partial dreads is that it feels like it's a lot easier to get a job now. I don't think that any of the jobs that I've gotten since I had my dreadlocks would have like batted an eye at me having dreadlocks, but that was definitely something that I was thinking about when I got my dreads. The people that I was working for at the time wouldn't have kept me if I had had a whole head of dreadlocks. And a lot of times what I do is I just put everything up. You can't tell that I have partial dreads, and then one day, you know, I'll come into work and you know, leave a few of them down or something, and it hasn't ever been an issue. So just kind of getting hired based off of, oh, you have good qualifications versus, oh, your hair is in dreadlocks, and bringing that in after the fact has worked really well for me, and that's not something that you can do if you have a whole head of dreadlocks. Let's see, what else? Oh, they are less noticeable, obviously, than full dreads, so that can be a pro, but that can also be a con, especially sometimes I'll be somewhere and I'll see another dreadhead and I'll be like, oh, I have dreads, and they have dreads, but they don't know that I have dreads because of the way that I'm wearing my hair, which is fine, it's not a big deal. But sometimes it's like, oh, I'm staring, they look at me and I'm looking at them and I feel like they just think that I'm judging them, whereas, no, I have dreadlocks too, like I'm identifying with you. So that's kind of something that can be really frustrating. Of course, I could just walk up and be like, hey, I have dreads too, but I'm not quite that outgoing. Another pro of having partial dreads is that you can add over time. Of course, you can do this with regular dreadlocks, you can just start up and build up over time. But this, I feel like, if you don't have an end goal of, oh, I'm going to get all my dreadlocks in and I want a whole head of dreadlocks, then you can just kind of add, every 6 months, add another dreadlock or whatever. There's no time pressure of, oh, I have to put in hours and hours and hours to get this done, because it does take a long time to put in a dreadlock. Another pro of partial dreadlocks is that you can put them in using the hair wrap method, which I spoke to in my last video, and that way the root gets really established. You could do that with regular dreadlocks, but I just feel like that's a lot easier to do if you're going to do this over a period of time, because that does take some time to establish. Another pro that I've noticed is that I feel like I have quicker dry time than people that I've watched videos of that have a full head of dreadlocks. So that just means that regular dreadlocks, after you wash them, they take a really long time to dry. Now, granted, my dreadlocks aren't super thick, and they're not super old. They're only going on 3 years old. But for me, definitely within 24 hours my hair is dry, usually within 12 hours. So it's not something that I worry about so much. I can still take baths in the evening and sleep, and it's not like they ever smell musty or anything like that. So that's something that's really nice. Hopefully that will continue. Okay, let's see. It thickens your hair. So my hair isn't super thin, but basically with dreadlocks, this is all of the hair that I've shed from this part of my head since June of 2015 is caught up in these dreadlocks. So when I let my hair down, it's going to be a lot thicker because this underlayer has all of that extra hair in it, which is nice. My hair isn't as thick as my mom's and my sister's, and so it just kind of gives me like a fuller head of hair. It's going to give you a different profile when your hair is down, a different look. So that was really nice, especially at first, but as my dreads have thickened, now when I leave my hair down, it looks kind of weird. Like it's like, oh, there's definitely this thing there. So it doesn't look quite normal, which doesn't bother me a whole lot. I still leave my hair down sometimes, but that could go both ways. It could be a pro or a con, depending how thick your hair is already or what kind of look you're going for. Something that I do like is having the availability of having a range of hairstyles. I kind of touched on that earlier with, I can go for elegant, or I can go for hip, or I can look like a hippie, it doesn't matter. And I could also do a video on hairstyles that I do if people are interested. But another thing that kind of is a con with that is that it kind of looks pretty weird whenever you braid your hair and there's regular hair and then there's dreadlocks. It's like making a braid with a really big piece of rope and little pieces of twine. It's gonna look strange. So again, if you have dreadlocks, do you care that much if it looks a little weird? Probably not, but that's not always the case for everyone, so that is something to consider. Let's see, we've got 2 more. So the first pair of pros and cons is actually the same of what we have left. So your hair is going to be warmer. If you leave your hair down, you've got more thickness, you've got more denseness to it, which is really nice in the winter. I'll leave my hair down in the winter and it's like this extra hat or something going on. But in the summertime, I find that I don't leave my hair down. Granted, I do work outdoors, I work farming, so I'm usually exposed to sun and I don't want to get a lot of dirt in my dreads, so that's probably something I would do anyways. But that is something to consider, that it's going to be warmer, both in the winter and in the summer. And then the final thing that I have written down here is that if you know anything about dreadlocks, you know that within the first year or 6 months, your hair is going to shrink up a lot and you're going to lose length. So one nice thing is that your hair is going to cover that. Your regular hair is going to stay the same length. It's not going to shrink. But when that happens, your hair is going to hide your dreadlocks because it's going to be longer than them. My dreads have started to actually grow out past that point, and they're probably about the same length as my regular hair now, but that was kind of an annoying thing for a while. So those are some different things with having partial dreadlocks that are pros and cons. I hope this video is helpful. I'd love to meet other people who do have partial dreadlocks, and if you have any requests for more videos or comments, please let me know. Thanks so much for watching.